What is this Marvel fan over here gonna do? He's gonna read some motherfucking hot takes. Hot takes 2. Except I'm gonna be doing the same thing that I did last time. I'm gonna be reacting to Sean Chandler, and I'm just gonna read the hot takes that people sent him. I'm gonna read them and give my thoughts on them. So let's go to the first one. First one, Endgame is the worst movie in the MCU and one of the worst Sen comics of all time, and one of the worst scripts of all time as well. I can see why some people would think Endgame is the worst movie. Now, I'm not gonna say Endgame is like a perfect movie because honestly, there is like maybe like two or three things I didn't like about Endgame. Like you look at Thor and Hulk from Thor Ragnarok. Remember when they were fighting each other in the arena and you're like, "Yo, they look so cool." But then by Endgame, Thor's fat, but I actually like it now. I mean, I wish he would have stayed fit and strong and buff, but at the same time, I understand why they wanted him to go fat because it shows that even if you're a god, depression can be really powerful sometimes. But I would have just preferred Thor to just be built. And Hulk, he's not Hulk no more. I don't care what no one says. He ain't Hulk. Remember in She-Hulk? Well, you probably don't because y'all fucking hate it. But there's a part where in episode 9, Abomination's like doing his thing, and then Hulk comes in and he's like, "Get away from my cousin," and then they start fighting. Abomination is so much bigger than Hulk. I'm like, you're not Hulk no more, bro. You're not Hulk no more. To say it's one of the worst movies in the MCU, that's yikes. For me, I think it goes number one, Spider-Man: No Way Home; two, Avengers: Infinity War. Actually, oh man, I don't fucking know. No, 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 no. Okay, I know. It goes one, Spider-Man: No Way Home; two, Avengers: Endgame; and three, Avengers: Infinity War. Endgame, come on, it's like a whole catharsis of emotions, and it, it was 10 years in the making. This was like the build up. This was the finale. This is what everything has been leading up to. The time travel was cool to me, at least. We got to visit other parts of the MCU before. That was trippy for me the first time I was watching it because I saw the first Avengers movies in theaters. So when they were doing that pan around camera thing of the Avengers, I was like, yo! And then I saw it again in Endgame. I'm like, yo, this is like a blast from the past. It was like, hey, remember that Avengers movie you saw in 2012? Well, look at it on the big screen again. Does that not throw you back? And I'm like, yo! It was like watching that scene over again for the very first time. It was cool. Um, it had Endgame probably has the best final battle, probably ever. That's like that's like Lord of the Rings type final battle. Sorry, I'm pretty sure you heard. I'm pretty sure y'all heard the dog was barking. But yeah, Endgame has probably one of the biggest final battles like probably ever. That's like some Lord of the Rings shit. Thanos' army running at the Avengers. The Avengers has a whole army of Asgardians, Ravagers, Sicarians, just fucking everybody. Did I say Asgardians? Just fucking everybody. So, and man, wait, it's been 4 years since Endgame, and I still cry when Iron Man dies. I'm not even gonna say spoilers because y'all should know that by now. But oh man, Tony Stark dying in his funeral, that gets me every time. Every time. Endgame is not the worst movie in the MCU. No, just no. It is not. It's number 2 in my top 5 to me. That's how good it is. I will never forget. Oh man, I will never forget the audience reaction whenever Captain America lifted Thor's hammer. Everyone lost their shit. Everyone lost their shit. Everyone was screaming, yelling, cheering. I was in Corsicana, Texas at the time whenever I went and saw Endgame on premiere night. I wouldn't doubt that almost everyone in Corsicana came to that theater to watch Endgame because the whole place was filled up. People were even sitting on the steps. Like, bro, that's a fire. That's a fire hazard, and people didn't give a fuck. I wonder what the staff thought about that. Like, well, they're not supposed to do that, but it's Endgame, so. But I'm surprised it didn't get sold out. I don't even know how they got in because don't they say the theater is sold out? Um, Whenever all the seats are taken. Luckily, this is to put you into perspective of how much hype Endgame had. I got there early, and there was already a big line going all the way out to the parking lot. Endgame is the worst movie in the MCU. Yeah, tell that to the fan base, bro. Tell that to the hype of this movie. That's not true. My hot take, Endgame is actually a very bad movie that is saved by an amazing final battle. Everything besides that is awful. That's not true either. I feel like Tony's arc. I feel like this movie wrapped up a lot of arcs that were like 10 years in the making. Because remember the line in the Avengers, I can recite the movie. It was like, big man in a suit armor. Take that off, what are you? Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. I know guys with none of that worth 10 of you, and I've seen the footage. The only person you really fight for is yourself. You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play. To land on the wire and the other guy crawl over you. I think I would just cut the wire. Always a way out. You know, you may not be a threat, but you better stop pretending to be a hero. A hero? Like you? You're a laboratory experiment, Rogers. Everything special about you came out of a bottle. Bro, did you just say that word for word? Hell yeah, you know it, bro. You know it, bro. I'm the GOAT. How many times have you watched that movie? That movie? Why don't you ask me how many times I've watched the MCU? You're a maniac. Hey, there's a method. There's a method to the madness. So I said that quote to because by the end of the movie, if Iron Man only fought for himself and only cares about himself, which he did at the very beginning of Iron Man, he had a character arc. But if he was a selfish person, he would not have snapped his fingers to save the entire universe, knowing that if he did do that, he'd probably die. He has a wife and a child. If Doctor Strange told him what he had to do, that's why he didn't tell him. Tony probably would have overthinked it or something. He probably would have been like, do I really want to do this? Now, if Tony was a selfish person after that, he wouldn't have snapped. And Tony was wrong too, because Tony was basically saying you're only Captain America because of the bottle, like the serum that they gave you. Steve Rogers wouldn't be nothing without the serum, which isn't true either. Because if that was true, it's not the serum or the strength that made him lift Thor's hammer. It's that he's worthy. He's a good person. So Tony was wrong too. They were both wrong about each other, and they both switched up eventually. Tony got to live the life that he had with Pepper and Morgan. He got 5 years of that. So that's some time that he had the life he wished that he could have had. He got to live the life that he wished he could have had. Captain America finally wanted to make a selfish decision and go and live with Pepper, or Peggy. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, if you have time travel and you feel like you deserve it, why not? I wonder if that created any paradoxes, although I don't think there's paradoxes in the MCU because they just totally changed the rules. But, no, I actually like Thor's arc too, because if you think about it, he's lost his mom, his dad, his brother, his best friend, his home world. He basically lost everybody. So, and he failed to save half the universe. He should have went for Thanos' head, but he went for his chest because he wanted Thanos to suffer. So Thor's anger for Thanos was his undoing. Thor's anger towards Thanos got in the way of him actually saving half the universe. So, I mean, there's a lot of blame to put on a lot of people about why Thanos won in Infinity War, but I mean, I think Thor probably takes it to heart and takes it harder than everyone because he could have. I mean, if he just went for the head, it would have been done right there, probably. But I can see all that is a lot to deal with, and eventually Thor just gives up. He just gives up. He goes and he drinks and he plays Fortnite with Korg and Meek. So, I mean, Thor's a god, but that brings out his human side because it shows that just because you're a god doesn't mean you're not immune to depression or anything. It's actually a very beautiful message. Next one. Avengers Assemble is the worst MCU product by far. That's right, worse than She-Hulk. You just read that, right? Yeah. You thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah. Alright, you ready? Let's say it at the same time. Alright, ready? 1, 2, 3. Actually agree with that. Bullshit. What? What did you just fucking say? Actually agree with that. I think the first Avengers movie is terrible. Get out! Get out! Get out of my house! Are you fucking crazy? The first Avengers movie is worse than She-Hulk? You're crazy. Nah. Let me explain to you why the Avengers is not worse than She-Hulk. Because for one, do you understand the hype of what was going on whenever the first Avengers trailer dropped. It blew our minds because all these movies that we were watching, we knew they were probably going to connect eventually, mostly because of Nick Fury and Agent Coulson, but we didn't think that was actually going to happen. An Avengers movie. All these heroes coming together in one movie. How's that even going to work? How is that going to work? How are you going to be able to give all these characters the right amount of screen time without shoving one in the shadows but having more light on one? And they managed to give everyone a good amount of decent screen time, except for maybe Thor. I think Josh Whedon kind of sidelined Thor. But that movie was. I rewatch that movie so often. That movie's really, really good. Really compelling plot line. Love fucking Loki. That movie is what made me fall in love with Loki. I'm like, okay, this dude's pretty badass. I love Loki. Um, it's just a movie. It was a cinematic experience. All the Avengers movies were kind of a cinematic experience, except for maybe Age of Ultron, but it was still good. But it was just crazy. That's a Phase One movie, so nothing like that has been seen yet at the time. So we're over here like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is crazy. Because I remember after I watched the movie, I'm like, yo, whose movie is this actually? Is this Iron Man's movie? Is this Captain America's movie? Is this Thor's movie? Whose movie is this? And everyone was telling me it's everyone's movie. And at the time, I couldn't even comprehend that. I'm like, that is crazy. So, uh, worse than She-Hulk though? You're crazy. Is this implying that She-Hulk is above Avengers Assemble? Because I'm not going to be one of those people that say I hate She-Hulk, but She-Hulk's better than the Avengers? You're crazy. You're delusional. This is a long one. Thor Ragnarok is one of the worst MCU movies. It doesn't take its story seriously enough to have things make sense. It disrespects characters from past Thor movies and decides that sending Thor away to battle Hulk is more cohesive to the story than exploring other realms and having Thor deal with his father's failings face to face. Rather than being a...
Ragnarok is one
I'm
of
sorry.
the worst
I can't
MCU
read it because
movies.
the words are in the way. Rather than being a satisfying
disrespects
Thor experience... Fuck, I can't read that.
characters from past Thor movies. Rather than being a satisfying Thor experience, it
Hold
leans
on.
on
I'm just gonna let
humor
him read it.
way too much. Thor Ragnarok is the most overrated MCU film. The humor is different, but it feels like an attempt at James Gunn humor. Couple different things to talk about.
Okay, I'm just gonna let... I can't read that because his words down at the bottom, I can't read it. Maybe he should put it in the corner or something, but... So based off of everything I just read right there, Thor Ragnarok is overrated. I think it's pretty funny. I think it's a pretty funny movie. That movie's like 5 years old by now, I think, right? Or it's 6, something like that. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah. The movie's 6 years old. And it still manages to make me laugh. I don't know. It's just, I think it's cool. Actually, my opinion, what I think I love more about Thor Ragnarok is the scenes that are on Sakaar. I love it. I don't know. I dig it more. But recently I've been watching both because how it was in the past. I used to be like, I love it when I love all the scenes when Thor and all of his friends are on Sakaar, and I don't really like the Hela scenes with her on Asgard. But actually, they both grew on me. Actually, well, Hela's part grew on me, but I think it's a pretty good movie. Having the Hulk in the movie, how do I feel about that? Having Hulk in the movie, it is kind of random, but yeah, it's a good way to get Hulk into Infinity War. But he had to go somewhere, right? I mean, and besides, Hulk being there was kind of. I heard Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame was everyone's way of secretly giving Hulk his 3 movies, kind of like a secret origin inside there. And it makes sense, because in Avengers Age of Ultron, when the building went down, he came up and he was looking at everyone. Everyone's running away from him. He's looking, people are looking at him all scared, and he's like, what? I'm gonna, like, he didn't actually say this, but I can tell in his head, probably. He was like, why y'all scared of me? I'm an Avenger. And then he got all mad because he saw the police officers with the gun, and then Hulkbuster knocked him out. So by the end of that movie, he left because he thinks that Earth hates him. So he went to Sakaar where he was loved. Everyone was celebrating Hulk, so he likes it there better than being on Earth. So I don't mind Hulk there. It's, if you think about it, it's kind of more like Hulk's movie more than it's Thor's movie, but it's still a Thor movie. Um, I love Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is a really good movie. And now I do agree it kind of disrespected Thor's friends. Sif wasn't even in the movie. um, they all died really quickly. I don't think Fandral got any lines at all. He just ran at Hela. He went, "Ah!" And then he got stabbed and he died. um, no, I love Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is a really good movie. I love the Hulk versus Thor fight. I love it when Thor lights up with lightning. I love the jokes. I love the humor. I think they went in a little bit too much in of that in Thor: Love and Thunder, but I still love it. I still love it. So yeah, I think Iron Man 2008 is pretty overrated. It's good, but not outstanding. Hmm. I don't think it's overrated. I think it's not in my top five, but that movie will forever be good. That when you're when you're watching a movie franchise, especially a long one, and you go back to the first movie, there's just something special about watching where it all began. And with Iron Man has a special place in my heart. I was literally just telling this story to someone else today. My stepdad used to bring in movies from Redbox, and there's some movies he would get that I would like. There's some movies I didn't like that he would get. But he came in one day and he was like, "We're gonna watch Iron Man," and I was like, "Iron Man, all right, all right." We watched it, and I loved it. I loved this. I loved his suit. I loved Iron Man. I loved Tony. In fact, Iron Man's one of the only superheroes where I love him. I love him inside his suit and outside his suit. When he's in his suit, I love Iron Man. When he's outside of his suit, I love Tony. So no matter what is going on, I love Tony and Iron Man. So, and I may be biased because Iron Man is my favorite character, but Iron Man is not overrated. In fact, I would actually call it outstanding. I would call it outstanding. Maybe that's just the fanboy inside me, but it's just where it all began, and it's such a good, solid story that is grounded. It doesn't feel like, I mean, there are some comic book movies out there that feel kind of comic booky and cheesy. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I do like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, but those are really cheesy and comic booky. Fantastic Four, very cheesy and comic booky. Iron Man didn't feel like that at all. That actually felt like an actual movie, like a movie. Like that's like mixing a superhero movie with like Black Hawk Down or something like that. I don't know, but it just seemed like a very serious movie. Every time I watch it, I'm like, if it wasn't for actually Iron Man being in this, like you take out Iron Man, you take out all the weapons and stuff, and it's just about a movie about Tony Stark learning his lessons on the potential dangers of selling his weapons to terrorists that could use his weapons against him and hurt Americans. That's not even a Marvel movie. Like you could that could pass as not even a Marvel movie. You take out all the Iron Man stuff. That could just be a movie. So I don't know, man. I love Iron Man. It has a special place in my heart. It's just so cool seeing it from where it all began. Have you ever rewatched the MCU and you watch Iron Man? You start with Iron Man and you're like, this is where it all began. Like, and it still holds up to this day to me. I remember because there was a time where I couldn't watch movies for like 2 or 3 years, so I couldn't watch the movies that I wanted to. And then when I finally got to again, first movie I watched was Iron Man. I was like, this is one of the greatest Marvel movies of all time. In fact, it's not in my top five, but I will stand by that. Iron Man from 2008 is one of the best Marvel movies of all time. Like, you can't beat it. It came out in 2008. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's 15 years old. Still fucking holds up. Come on. Robert Downey Jr.'s in there. Probably one of the best castings probably ever. They took a risk casting Robert Downey Jr. and it paid off. It paid off good. So Iron Man isn't overrated and it is outstanding. It's good and it's outstanding. So because it's where it all began. The end credit is when Nick Fury comes in, and that's what opens the doors to an amazing 10 years. You watch the movie. I wonder if people who watched Iron Man for the first time in theaters when it came out, I wonder if they didn't know there was any post-credit scene, so they left. So it was an empty theater teasing a whole universe. No one's even in there. But in fact, I didn't even know that Marvel movies had end credit scenes until one day when I was just watching the movie and I let the credits play. I wasn't paying attention to it. I was talking to someone and I'm like, wait, what the hell? So I didn't even know they had post credit scenes until I watched them on DVD. But that's just beautiful to me. Like you watch this really good movie, then you have an end credits, and you're like, damn, Iron Man is a really good movie. I wonder what they're gonna do next. Nick Fury comes. You become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet. Who the hell are you? Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh, I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. Like, bro, they're leading to an Avengers movie? Like, bro, come on. Come on. I remember when I first saw that Avengers trailer, I was hyped as fuck. I was hyped. I was hyped. I was hyped. I was hyped. So, Iron Man, I love it. I just love it. I want to get an Iron Man Blu-ray DVD where it's just shaped in a heart. That's what I want. I think I'm going to agree with this one. MCU Phase 4 is criminally underrated and overlooked. People who didn't like it are either cynical or negative. I'd probably fall into the negative area. I don't know why everyone is shitting on Marvel movies these days. Like, come on. Phase 4 was not that bad. I'm going to go through every single one right now, and I'm going to tell you whether or not I liked it or not. And I'm going to be honest. WandaVision, I fucking loved it. Man, I remember whenever... Because we had a whole year of no Marvel. Like, it was Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, and then 2020 COVID happened, a whole year no Marvel. And then WandaVision came out, and we all got sucked into it. We got sucked into the mystery of it, what was going on. We wanted to figure out what happened. There were so many theories, reactions, surprises, throwbacks. I'm like, this is like the perfect movie, or the perfect TV show. Love WandaVision. What's next? Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Very slept on. Very, very, very slept on. I love Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm sorry. I just do. I love my Sam Wilson and I love my Bucky. I love my Bucky more than I love my Sam, but the only thing I didn't like about Falcon and the Winter Soldier is Carly Morgenthau. I hated her. Oh, she's so annoying to me. What's next? Loki? Best show on Disney Plus. Prove me wrong. Show me a better show on Disney Plus other than Loki. And don't say Mandalorian. Don't say Mandalorian. That doesn't count because that's not better than Loki. I'm sorry. Show me a Disney Plus show that's better than Loki. Loki? Fucking mind-blowing. I remember the first time I saw episode 6 of Loki and I was left with my jaw open. Literally. I was like, what did we just watch? What just happened? Because this dude at the end of time is like showing them like scripts of what they're gonna say, what's gonna happen. He's blowing their minds with like trippy dialogue, and he's like, "You came to the end of time," and she would like Sylvie was like, "We found you," and he's like, "Mm-mm. Every step that you took to get here, I paved the road. You just walked down," and I'm like, "That's crazy!" Like, man, that's why I hope that Jonathan Majors does not get recast as Kang. I hope. Next one, Black Widow. I don't know why everyone hates Black Widow, but I don't hate Black Widow. I think Black Widow's pretty fucking badass. Is there anything I don't like about Black Widow? CGI is a little wonky in a couple places. I don't know. Hold on. Oh yeah, the whole thing with the vials, like the blue or the red things that Yelena sent to Natasha. I don't know how she got them to Natasha. I don't know how that happened. And I don't know how Taskmaster found out about them. So that part's a little confusing. But other than that, I love Black Widow. What If? I love What If. Actually, I don't like episode 1 and I don't like episode 9. I don't know. I just don't like them. There's a lot of plot holes in episode 9, but everything in between, I love. I love it. How Doctor Strange Lost His Hands, Eric Killmonger, the zombies. Man, it's actually between What If Doctor Strange Lost His Hands and the zombie episode that are my favorite. It's a cross between those. Those are really good episodes. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I really like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It gets kind of boring near the end because there's a dragon and stuff. I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, well, that happened. But I really like Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and I can't wait for the second movie. It took him a long time to get his suit, but you know, it's a pretty enjoyable movie. Eternals, it's below okay. It's not bad, but it's not good either. It's meh. It's meh because I mean I like the visuals, I like the Celestials, I like all that. Humor's kind of the humor's in. The editing, there's some editing choices that are weird. Um, Eternals was me. Hawkeye, I actually really like Hawkeye. Haley Steinfeld actually grew on me. I actually really like her now. I actually can't wait to see her in upcoming Marvel projects. I want to see. I don't know. I don't know why. I just want to see. I want to see Haley Steinfeld interact with Moon Knight. I wonder how that would go. Um, I really like the Christmas vibes. My favorite holiday is Christmas, so I just love Hawkeye. I don't know. I just love the vibes of Christmas. And when Hawkeye came out in 2021 and near Christmas time, I was eating it up. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I love Christmas. Spider-Man: No Way Home. That's my number one movie of all. Well, that's my number one Marvel movie of all time. I love that movie. This movie's epic. I love that they brought Toby back, Andrew. I love it. I love it all. Moon Knight, I really like Moon Knight, except for episode 6. It was a pretty solid show until they rushed everything in episode 6. So I'd say Moon Knight is awesome, but episode 6 could have been a little better. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Why do people hate this movie? I get it. More towards the end, it's where the cheesy stuff is happening. Like he's like, he has like that close up of Strange and he winks, and then it shows America Chavez, and she's like balling her fist, and then the camera tilts, and she's like she has that smirk. She's like it's like this. It's like I'm like that looks like something that belongs in how it should have ended. So I love Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, you have John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic in the MCU along with Professor X from the X-Men. What more could you ask for? That is a mind fuck. That's a mind fuck to me, especially that Professor X is there. I'm like, Professor X is in the MCU and it's Patrick Stewart. What? Miss Marvel, I am going to be honest. This might be one of my hot takes. I fucking hate Miss Marvel. I hate it. 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 It just feels so childish. I hate the humor. I don't like Kamala Khan at all. I don't like her suit. I don't like the way she acts. She acts like a child. Maybe she is kind of a child, but she acts way younger than that. She acts like she's 5. I just don't like the show. I don't like it. I don't like any part of it. I don't like it at all. Thor: Love and Thunder. It's okay. Kinda. I'd say it's awesome, yeah. I am Groot. Surprisingly, for only 5 little shorts, you can watch the whole thing in 20 minutes. It's actually pretty enjoyable and pretty funny. So, I actually like I Am Groot. She-Hulk, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I just like it. I love that they put Daredevil in there, but actually, rewatching it recently, I actually really don't like his yellow suit anymore. I did, but I don't anymore. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look good to me. I hope they go back to his red suit. I don't really like the yellow suit. Werewolf by Night. I actually really like Werewolf by Night. I like the whole horror element. It's black and white. I love the gore. They got away with the gore because it's in black and white. I loved it when he transformed into the werewolf and started fucking people up. I was like, yo, this is actually really, really good. So I actually really like Werewolf by Night. It's pretty awesome. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think it's pretty good. A little bit too long. I don't think it needed to be that long. The middle is the most interesting part about it. I don't know. It just gets really interesting. Especially, I like the soundtrack. I like the soundtrack that they have for the Talokan people. It's like, if you watch the movie, you'll know what I mean. I'm just going to play it for y'all real quick right here. If you listen really carefully, you can hear it. Listen to the soundtrack.
The president wants to take offensive action against Wakanda.
What type of offensive action?
Destabilization.
Well, Special Officer Rowe.
Can y'all hear that? I actually love that. I like that sound. I'm like, ooh, this is kind of scary. And finally, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Best way to close out Phase 4. It's just a happy Christmas special. Like I said, I love Christmas, and I love the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. It's so wholesome and heartwarming. It makes me cry happy tears every single time, especially when Mantis reveals to Peter that she's his sister. And she expects him to be like, what? I don't want anything to do with you if you're related to Ego. But he says, that's the best Christmas present I could get. And that just makes me cry every single time. So Phase 4, I agree with that. Criminally underrated. Is not as bad as y'all Marvel haters out there are making it out to be. So Phase 4 is actually pretty good. Granted, not like Phase 3, but Eric Voss says it's unfair to compare Phase 4 to Phase 1. But for once, I actually disagree with Eric Voss because after the whole big climatic event, Avengers Endgame, you have to calm down. There has to be a calm after the big giant storm. So you have to start over. You have to introduce new characters, ground it up. Not everything is going to be an Infinity War and Endgame level. So I would compare Phase 4 to Phase 1 because it's starting all over. It's a new saga. It's a multiverse saga, so it kind of is like Phase 1. Also, if Phase 4 was so bad, how come my number one favorite Marvel movie came out of Phase 4? Well, that's all the hot takes we have for now. I'm gonna try and find more. Maybe I'll ask for my own. Maybe I'll go somewhere for like Reddit or something and ask people what their MCU hot takes are and I'll react there. But yeah, that's my reaction to the hot takes. This is number 2. So maybe I'll do more. We'll see. This is actually pretty fun. I love doing this. So see y'all.